Okay, this thing have air conditioning?
How much supercar can you get for under $100,000? For me, a supercar is something that astonishes you and makes you feel like you are driving something really special. Something that's worth taking to the track to experience it in its element. Something mid-engined, something with 2 seats, and something that is so much fun to drive that you don't care about how impractical it is. These two are considered baby supercars to some, and can be purchased by us mere mortals. They both have a very similar philosophy, but how different are they to drive? And which one can deliver more excitement when you take them to the limit?
Hello, welcome to Toronto Motorsports Park. Today we are going to put a Alfa Romeo 4C head-to-head with a heavily modified Lotus Exige S240. When I say heavily modified, it's had enough things done to it that I couldn't memorize them, so I brought a piece of paper. It has a 3-inch pulley, an upgraded intercooler, supplemental cooling, a BOE Fastworks tune, a Diflow 5-element diffuser, carbon fiber front lip, carbon fiber side intakes, carbon fiber wing, PPE headers, 550cc fuel injectors, a BOE silent touch exhaust, and an ITG intake. Let's go drive it.
2 super hot mid-engine sports cars in Cayuga Dragway. Let's put it to good use.
All right, so we are in the Alfa Romeo on the drag strip. Now we put me in this car because it has launch control, and we've put the racing driver in the Lotus because it does not have launch control. And he has a better chance of launching that car properly. Now it's on super sticky tires and I'm on street tires, so he's gonna get a better launch than I am, but I'm gonna see if I can catch up. Here we go. It's squirrely, it's squirrely. Woohoo! And there goes the Lotus. Yeah, we're gonna have to do that again.
As it turns out, the Alfa is a bit of a handful even with the launch control, and I genuinely almost put it into the wall. You have to be careful with the throttle or you'll end up like me, needing to lose a layer of clothing because this is a car that'll make you sweat.
So last time I tried to launch in this car, it nearly killed me. So I'm gonna give it a go in the other lane to see if there's more grip here. And the racing driver is in the Lotus.
So these two cars are matched close enough on the drag strip that it comes down to surface grip, tire compound, and driving technique. So I took the 4C out onto the track to find if there was anything that differentiated it, and it didn't take very long for it to leave an impression.
Alright, I'm not even driving it hard, and I'm already smiling like an idiot. There's just so much character.
This 4C has a tuned 1.7-liter turbocharged engine, which is putting out about 255 to 260 horsepower. That doesn't sound like much, I know, but this car is light, so honestly, it's very, very quick. But it's the location of the engine that makes it special for me.
Mid-engine cars. if you've never driven one before, or you don't really know what I'm talking about, there's a few things you should know. First of all, the engine is behind you. It's not in front of you. That means most of the weight is over the rear tires. The advantage to this is when you get on the throttle, the rear hooks up and blasts you through the corner. But there's a few problems with that. There's a certain way that you have to drive them, or they try and kill you. So, if you go into a corner too hot and you turn in too aggressively, you'll spin. If you turn in and give it too much gas, you'll spin. If you turn in and then let off the gas, you'll spin. So pretty much you only have one choice. That's to do it properly.
And the 4C lives up to its mid-engine design.
It doesn't want to power oversteer like you think it would. You more use the balance of the car to sort it through the corner.
It took me a bunch of laps to get the hang of it, but once you do, it's very rewarding to drive fast.
You control the attitude of it with your right foot. You kind of move your foot around on the throttle, and the throttle response is fantastic, by the way, and that controls the angle you're at the corner. It's a race car. It's a race car.
The steering in the 4C is unassisted, and while it still felt a little bit light off-center like I felt when I drove it on the road, it becomes very heavy mid-corner and encourages you to wrestle with it.
The steering is so talkative. I think you can probably see my hands constantly going back and forth. When you go into the corner, you feel every little part of the racetrack. Sideways. Oh. Ho, 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 ho. Woo! This is such an unbelievable experience. I've done roller coasters that are way less fun than I'm having right now. You have to know what you're doing to drive this car, because I'm missing an apex there, messing up an exit here.
And that's why I love it so much. It rewards progress, and it forces you to be a good driver. Eventually, the 4C's quirks stop mattering.
The only thing that I have looked at since I started this was the camera, my digital gauge, and the road. That makes you very quickly realize that the rest of it doesn't really matter that much. The radio and the climate control system, parts of the interior that might be a little bit cheap, how impractical it is, you simply just don't care. If you take this thing to a track once a year and have a blast with it, you won't care about any other part of it.
For the sake of being fair, I looked for something that I didn't like.
Well, boost comes on quite aggressively in the middle of the corner. That sometimes makes it a little bit difficult to modulate the throttle. Other things that I don't like? That's about it. This thing has just as much character on a racetrack as you want it to. You've seen pictures of it, you've seen videos of it, you've heard the noises that it makes, you've heard other people talk about it, and I want you to know that when you get this on a track and you drive it at the limit, it's just everything you want and more.
So obviously the 4C is very, very good. But the Lotus Exige has a similar formula. Super light, mid-engine, unassisted steering. So the question is, how much different could it really be?
Oh my. The whine from the supercharger! Oh my god!
The Exige has a 1.8-liter supercharged Toyota engine that after tuning is making around 320 horsepower, and since it's light like the Alfa, it's very fast and angry.
It's hot in here! Fan's loud! Woo! The steering is so active, very much like the Alfa. But you know what? I like the steering in this better. Right off center, there's a lot of feel, and there's a directness to the direction the car goes. Very little lock is required, very quick rack to make the car turn in. I could be wrong, this could just be my perception of it. It feels like there's a little bit more body lean than the Alfa. I've never driven anything like this. Actually, yes, I have. I have driven something like this before. It's called a go-kart. This is the closest thing to a go-kart that I have ever driven. Not like a $20 for 5 laps go-kart. I mean like a racing go-kart. These tires are so grippy. Not coming anywhere near the limits. It just turns in. Oh, there goes the back a little. It's just so raw. So raw. There's little things crinkling around. I can hear the road. It's loud. It's hot. It's angry. I love it.
Without a doubt, driving the Exige is a very physical experience, as you can probably tell from my facial expressions.
Turn in. Fast. Oh, yeah. Oh, very much like the Alfa mid-engine. You can feel the rear hook up. And then off I go. I'm pretty sure the supercharger is right there.
Since it is very light, just like the Alfa, it does not have a lot of mass to move around, so turning and braking is very aggressive.
Oh, braking. Oh, yeah. Woo! Heel toes are easy. The pedals are perfectly spaced. The gear shift, the throws are actually fairly long, but they're so precise. They go bang into gear.
Like the Alfa, the Lotus has unassisted steering. There are no bothersome hydraulic pumps or electric motors to interfere with feedback from the road's surface.
The level of steering feel, yeah, that's like nothing I've ever seen. Every little bit of the road is communicated to my hands.
I forced myself to slow down so that I could stop sweating and think about this car's purpose.
Okay, so the Lotus Exige, a heavily modified Lotus Exige. What do we have? What is this? This is a car that is so stripped out that it removes every last little layer of insulation to give you a driving experience that's as pure as physically possible in a car with suspension. If you're looking for a car that you only want to drive with, you don't care about anything else, the Alfa is a fantastic choice. I think this might be better. The Alfa feels a lot more lively. It has more character. This just feels like it is engineered to go fast. It is engineered to go around a corner perfectly. Some cars are so impressive because of their electronics. Take the Nissan GTR, for example. It goes around corners really incredibly well, probably faster than this thing can. But it's so impressive because it's electronic. This is so impressive because the mechanical engineering of it is just shocking.
Now, it's time to let the racing driver set a lap time in each. I want you to watch the driver handle these cars. Driving a mid-engine car at the limit is a sight to behold, and honestly, I have no idea which one of these will set the better time. The Alfa might be more of a handful, but it potentially has the better chassis. The Lotus is very, very fast and has sticky rubber, but it doesn't feel as light as the Alfa. Let's find out. Okay, coming into turn 1. This is where the mid-engine design of the Alfa tries to bite you. A little dab of opposite lock there as he flies through the first corner. And on the power fully, flat out towards turn 2. Braking hard, turning in, he can carry quite a lot of speed through here, and then dives hard on the brakes before this next corner. If you get on the power too early there, the Alfa wants to understeer. Okay, so watch how smooth he is through the S's. Uses the balance of the car to walk through as best he can, taking the curb on the exit. Okay, coming up to the hairpin. Braking late, turning in very late, hunting for the apex, and powering out. I got the car sideways there very many times. Trying to keep the car as straight as possible through the kink, trying not to upset it on that final curb, turning in here to Mustang Alley. I call it that because it's been known to kill a Mustang or two. He brakes hard to set up the car for patience. carrying as much speed as he can through there. Watch how fast the car is through that. Alright, braking hard to set the car up. Apex 1 of the final corner. He sets the car up for Apex 2, which is the important one, so he can carry as much speed as he can onto the straight. Takes as much as he can towards the wall, flat out. Previous lap was a 1:23.6. This one is a 1:23.2. Very nice. Let's look at the Lotus. The Lotus is a little bit faster on the straight, which he uses to his advantage. Brakes hard. This car is much more stable than the Alfa through this corner. Even though it is still more planted than the Alfa, the steering wheel likes to talk back at you quite aggressively. He keeps his inputs very, very smooth as he comes through here. Uses the grip of the front tires to get the car turned in. Downshift, follow through there, carrying a lot of speed, then hard braking into this corner here. This car does want to understeer as well, so you have to be careful and use the front grip, which it does have. Keeping his inputs at the controls as smooth as possible so he doesn't scrub any speed through there. Man, the sound of that supercharger is insane. The Lotus is a little bit more of a linear power band. The Alfa Turbo comes on and it tries to kill you in the middle of the corner. Lotus is easier to modulate the throttle. Through there onto the straightaway, coming up to the kink. Just like the Alfa, trying to keep it as straight as possible through the kink. Downshift, turning into Mustang Alley, setting the corner up for patience. Turns in carefully, holding the car through, balancing the throttle, powering out. Watch the speed through here. That's just crazy. Okay, braking hard for the first apex of the final corner, a flick of opposite lock to make sure the car doesn't slide around too much, taking as much as he can towards the wall, flat out onto the straight, and we do a 1:22.2. There you go. The Lotus took it by a full 1 second. Not a massive margin, but a notable one. Mark my words though, if you put sticky rubber on the Alfa and maybe a few power modifications, I think that it would be able to lay down the better time, which just goes to show you how impressive that chassis really is. So which one of these is the better car? Well, that's the beauty of it. Even though they are so similar in philosophy, they are actually very different experiences. The Alfa is playful. It dances around the track, occasionally trying to inflict serious bodily harm. And the Lotus feels like a real race car that wants to help you put down real lap times. But that doesn't mean that it isn't also a riot to drive. In the end, if you were looking for a car like this, I think that you are spoiled for choice. Each of these two provide a unique mini supercar experience, and even though the Alfa is the one that seems to steal your heart, if you offered either of these to me, my answer would be yes.